So we have an interesting start to this seed in the way that the strength is kind of low and the agility is kind of low. However, they do have two spells and they have a good chunk of both HP and MP. So there should be a way for both runners to kind of find their way early on this seed.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, 9 strength isn't all that bad, but even if it were like 5 or 6 strength, with 36 hit points and heal more, and 24 magic points, like, they could whittle down a magician even if they're just hitting for ones if he doesn't have a special attack. So there might be some long fights at the beginning, but I expect it won't be too hard for these runners to get started.
Looks like we do have race underway here.
I
Two
saw the
keys and a
silver
heart.
harp.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we've got some interesting decisions right off the bat with two keys. We'll see if they decide to go after some potential gold out on the overworld or if they decide to take a peek inside the treasury first and then kind of reset and go from there.
And yeah, I'm not sure if Couch missed the start or if something's happening on the restream, but in the meantime, Bobski is into the forest, and it looks like, yeah, he's gonna head towards those locations that have appeared on his map. Oh, Bobski, like I said, hitting the magician for 1, but fighting the magician, but it turns out the magician also has heal more. So maybe that's not actually going to be a good battle.
No, outside of a excellent hit that goes perfectly, I don't know that there's much way to finish off a magician at this point.
And Bobski takes a peek into both of the towns that are just over there to the west of the start. And I think I saw Garenham and Cantlin, but with no money and basically nothing that they need to do just yet. Yeah, it isn't clear that he wants to. I guess he could use the spare key to check the back of Garenham, right?
Good. It looks like we had some replacement key in the treasury as well as some gold, so both runners have already checked some of the stuff for us, and there's a couple different ways you can play it.
But yeah, that basically means that we're going to have 7 chests and 2 extra underground locations available right here at the start, with keys and access to Garenham and Tanagel. So, ironically, it's going to be kind of a fast start in terms of exploration, but probably a very slow start in terms of actually killing any monsters and getting some experience right here, I imagine.
Yep. So you've got a couple options here. You can go down and see what's in the basement. You could also do what we kind of refer to as a ghetto grind, where you have 2 gold chests in the treasury with the key, so you can basically get an infinite amount of cash up to the limit, and then go to one of the towns. So it'll be interesting to see which way they decide to.
And it looks like Bobski has decided, since there was a key at the start, to do a reset, then do a gold grind in the treasury. And I'm kind of surprised that he didn't at least take a peek into the shops. Although with Cantlin and Garenham, that's 4 shops guaranteed. So he might just go for 33,000 gold and plan to try to buy all of the equipment if it's available. So we'll see how long Bobski chooses to grind things blind. And then probably later on, we'll actually try to go down into the downstairs of some of these places to explore. But now that the stream is caught up on Couch's side, it looks like he has already successfully killed some monsters. He is up to level 2. And yeah, with still gold in hand, I presume he will still have the option to go back and buy keys and still be ahead on keys and the seed as well.
We've already got a bit of a sneak peek at level 3. Heal, sleep, and outside added to the repertoire of spells. Some interesting Sleep is pretty interesting because you can almost get around some of these potential spells that you might see from the mid-level enemies that they'll start to encounter if they travel outside the first couple zones.
That said, if Bobski does manage to find all the top tier equipment with his gold grind, it could be the case that sleep isn't even going to really come into play for monsters other than maybe a stone man or a Magi Wyvern near the start. Bobski might quickly get very powerful. So we'll have to see what's going to be available in these shops. But Couch is now going and buying extra keys with the extra gold. He's going to check what's in the downstairs Tangel. Meanwhile, Bobski is going to check the shop first in Garenham and then probably Cantlin.
Looks like we have both Flame Sword and Magic Armor available in Garenham, so that's a pretty good shot for the gold grind to pay off.
Yeah, that is a terrific start. And it looked like we had the jerk underneath Tanagal Castle over on Couch's side. He is now getting news about the information that's in Garenham and is purchasing a large shield to start. Bobski picks up and equips a dragon scale from the back of Garenham. There was also gold and one other chest that I didn't get a good look at.
Looks like a torch side, so Dragon Skill is pretty useful for Couch, maybe not so much for Bobski given how much defense he's already picked up, but you'll never say no.
Yeah, every little bit counts. And then the downstairs of Garenham was actually Garen's tomb. Bobski just noped right out of there. Couch, meanwhile, is actually starting to dive since he's already gotten level 3, but there is a blue dragon, and that is going to end him with one bite. He is swallowed whole and sent back to Tanagal.
So if you didn't recognize the gold grind, well, I guess you basically have to recognize it as you enter the back of Garenham there, then walk down. But there's now, what, at least 2 ways to instantly get that gold grind going?
Yeah, not short on possibilities in this seed. And meanwhile, over on Couch's side, he's managed to find the town of Hawksnest, and he's already headed over just to check out who the spike tile is, it looks like. He's going to have to fight off a skeleton before he gets there. But meanwhile, Bobski has actually killed his first enemy at the Scorpion. That's going to give him level 1, and he's only 1 point away from level 2. If I were Bobski, I'd probably get level 4 or 5 before I start diving any of the caves. It's a little unfortunate that Bobski got a Scorpion followed by a Red Slime. If he'd done them in the other order, if it had been the Red Slime first and then the Scorpion, he could have gotten 2 levels at once, and he'd only have to wait for that level up text to scroll by once with a combined set of stats, rather than having to, I don't know, wait the 10 seconds to see it scroll by on 2 different occasions. But it's just encounter luck.
It looks like level 5 has brought a little bit more in the way of stats, and now the lore of the hurt spells, so not too much of note at level 5, but again, it's just one of those where you're going to have to keep on leveling as the game progresses anyways to try and get your stats required for Dragon Lord 2, so hopefully they'll see hurt more before level 16 in this particular seed.
And we have our first big surprise, in my opinion, which is Bobski's fighting an Axe Knight, and it has twice put him to sleep. So it seems like this Axe Knight likes sleep, and that could be a real threat not only to the Sharlock dive, but also possibly reducing the chances of having a good grind. If there is an Axe Knight, usually that would be a great grind tile, but now it could just be a dangerous enemy.
And it looks like Couch may have stopped short of going to the spy tile, so to speak, in Hawksnest to see what was there. He decided to try and grind a couple of mobs before then, but got taken out by the Spectre.
So at this point, I have to presume Couch is going to try to set up the gold run. It looks like he's just going to push right back into Hawksness or go past it and do a little bit more exploring. Yeah, Couch did check the shop in Garenham, so he knows that there's big ticket items there. So I feel like not trying to get the gold to go ahead and get those items right now is a mistake on his part. Meanwhile, Bobski, now that he has a couple of levels under his belt, does look like he's headed back into Garen's tomb to try to check out what's down there.
Yeah, it looks like level 6 also brought in some pretty significant agility on Couch's side, so on top of just kind of the minor bumps that we've seen so far in strength and health since the start, agility's already taken that pretty big leap up.
Bobski did not have the agility. Star Wyvern has ended his dive into Garen's tomb. I'm not sure if he's going to choose just to go right back there or if he's going to be patient outside the castle. It looks like he's going to be patient, try to kill a few more mobs, and also do a little bit more exploring. He has now, too, discovered that the town of Hawksness is just a few steps to the north off screen, and he's going to head over to the tile. Maybe we'll see what it is.
Alright, we got to see the level, and, turned around just the same, so I guess we'll wait just a little bit longer as Couch looks to have found another town, so lots of towns fast and furious off the start.
But with the blue dragon between him and it, I'm not sure that he's actually going to be able to get there.
Not too terribly far from Tanatil, though, so he may be a bit stubborn and try and walk back up there just to see what that is.
But yeah, pretty incredible start. We had two towns practically on screen, and then just a few steps to the north is a third, and now just right around the corner from there seems to be a fourth. Plus, we have Garenham available, so we've got two downstairses, one being the Jerk under Tanagel, and the other being Garen's tomb underneath Garenham. So basically, the runners have a plethora of options before them. There's a variety of strategies that are all defensible at this point. And so it looks like right now Bobski is trying to grind maybe one more level, get up to level 6, and then take a look at the tile. I guess he probably doesn't have the stats right now to defeat any of the enemies who could be on the tile unless it happens to be a stone man who really wants to stay asleep. So I understand grinding right here. But at the same time, I might go ahead and take a peek, because if it happens to be like, he doesn't know that the blue dragon, for example, just likes to bite, or did he? I guess he was the one who died to it earlier, I can't remember. But if it was like a blue dragon with stop spell, for example, that was 75% stop spell and maybe 50% hurt, like sometimes you just get lucky. And so I usually want to take a look at the tile, even if I don't think I can defeat anyone, just in case it turns out to be a super easy enemy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure curiosity would get the best of me, but we do have a potential look at the coordinates, and it's 9 to the north and 62 to the west.
And I don't know that we've seen kind of the left edge of the swamp past Gantlin and Garenham to know if that's going to be something that we're going to be able to walk to on this continent or not. It's still pretty early and we haven't seen much of the map.
Bobski's not going to be too far behind in gaining the same information.
Yeah, basically once the hit points became high enough, they've got heal more. They can get over those barrier tiles in order to talk to the man. And in Bobski's case especially, he's already spent the money that he wants to spend, and so he would be happy probably just to take a death off of the tiles just to get out of here rather than walk all the way back. And sure enough, Bobski dies on the barrier tiles after getting the information from the old man Cantlin. Meanwhile, Couch is actually going into the grave now. Looks like he is going to reopen the chests. No, we only took one of them. I'm not sure if a gold grind just isn't on Couch's mind for some reason. And so this could really put him behind if he still isn't going to choose to try to set up a gold grind here.
Yeah, I just think he's so focused on the fact that he's got the early keys in so many locations that he may be just not seeing the opportunity to have the gold grind. I know sometimes when all these things hit me fast and furious in the seed, like this seed has kind of given the runners, I tend to kind of get so enamored with all the things I can do that I don't think about it.
Right, and speaking of all the things to do, Bobski now has 2 new locations on his screen, so we have a whole bunch of things really near the start available. But yeah, some of this also might just be Couch's racing inexperience showing through a little bit. We'll see what happens moving forward. Bobski is in a surprisingly long battle with the wolf, but he manages to win, and so we're going to be able to possibly see another town and a cave. And I think, does the town have to be Breckenry at this point? Have we seen everything? Could be Remolder, but it is Breckenry.
And we have seen quite a bit here. I only have Mountain, Rimildar, Coal, Drop Harp, and Swamp left.
We have seen Rainbow Drop Cave. It is underneath Tanagel.
That's fair.
And it looks like Bobski has found either mountain or tablet. He doesn't have any light right now, and so that makes me think that it's probably Tablet Cave, because I think he would do Mountain Cave in the dark. So for the moment, Couch maintains an experience lead, because Bobski sunk so much time into the gold grind at the start, but one has to imagine that Bobski's superior equipment is certainly going to start turning the experience into his favor. I don't know, another 5 minutes into this race. Come back and check by 25 minutes. I expect Bobski would be ahead unless something else changes.
Yeah, short of perhaps finding Coal and having a magic armor or something to kind of get the statistics between the two runners closer together.
Yeah, that's true. Basically, Couch could stumble on Erdrick's armor or Erdrick's sword, and that could definitely give him an advantage if he manages to find it before Bobski, and he's definitely doing a bit of looking around the world, so that is a possibility.
Did he take a peek at the town that was off to the east of where he is now, kind of?
I don't think so. I guess it has to be Remolder, and he died to the Blue Dragon the last time he was there, and I don't think he made it over there. Remolder, of course, has one chest, so if Erdrick's sword happened to be over there, that could be big. And it doesn't seem like Bobski's going to be headed in that direction for a while. But Bobski now has a complement of a couple of torches to verify that it is indeed Tablet Cave. He's going to head downstairs and get the one chest out of this cave. Or Coal. That's right. Could be Remolder or Coal. Alright, nothing in Tablet Cave. So, yeah, I guess at this point, the bottom of the grave, the 5 chest in Mountain Cave, and the 1 chest in Remolder are the outstanding overworld chests that remain. And they have to contain the Stones of Sunlight. There's always the possibility that the token or the flute is in there, and the possibility of Erdrick's sword.
Yeah, it's the interesting part about this is there's not a whole lot of potential checks in terms of like significant chests outside of Mountain and Charlock remaining. You have just one here and one there, so the odds kind of get reduced the more we see.
And it looks like Bobski might be setting up to try to go back into Garen's tomb. I don't think he had made it into the top 3 chests before. Or did he? I can't remember. Can't remember. He died to a blue dragon once. Oh, and there's a blue dragon again. So, oh, but this time he manages to run away. With 36 agility, he's still not a favorite to run from the blue dragon. But he has a chance.
I know he was close the first time because he had the magician about 4 tiles away from the chest, but he might have got sniped
Armored
after.
Knight with sleep. Axe Knight, we've already seen, has sleep. Given Bobski's incredible starting equipment, I thought that this seed was possibly going to go fast, but now we have definitely some Sharlock tier enemies that are saying, hey, let's try to put on the brakes a little bit.
Yep, and that adds one more to the list of potential concerning enemies on the Hawk's Nest tile.
And unfortunately, since it was such a short battle, we also don't have much information, or Bobski doesn't have much information about that Armored Knight. Is he 25, 50, 75% sleep? Might he have any other crazy attack to go with it? We might not find out for a while. Couch is going to get level 8. I think he's going to be determined to head over to the Hawk's Nest tile this time. He did get some more attack power. He's still going to have a tough time. Nope, it looks like he might be turning around. I guess he was hoping that Hurtmore was going to show up when he went into Hawks, and when it didn't come at level 8, he's just going to go back to exploring. Bobski just ran from the Rogue Scorpion. I guess his attack power is only 53. Now he's... yeah, I don't understand why wouldn't... He's taking swings at the Rogue Scorpion. Has he forgotten that he has the Hurt spell? Hurt will deal probably like 13 damage on average or something to the Rogue Scorpion. 4 hurts usually takes 1 down. He's got the Heal More spell. He could definitely outlast it. Hey, and then all of a sudden it finally came to him. He casts Hurt, gets 15. He should be taking this Rogue Scorpion down now in short order. And I think that's going to give him... I guess he'll be just short of level 7.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting decision with all this stuff on the map so quick. We've almost kind of forgotten that we can get a couple of levels with all the attack power on one side with the flame sword and the bumps in strength on the other side.
And
Would you consider at some point?
Go ahead.
Would you consider at some point going with a little bit more of an experience grind just to kind of push it a little bit further up so that you can get past some of this nasty stuff you see walking around?
I definitely would. It's still the case that there's a lot of enemies. In general, like if there's 5 enemies that are kind of sitting in my sweet spot that I could kill to get the next level up, I prefer to grind. And so like that Rogue Scorpion area, like I would have tried to kill 2 more Rogue Scorpions right there. So the bad news on Couch's side is he's found the town of Remolder, and the chest just contains a torch. Well, Bobski just found it as well. This was a potential advantage for Couch if Erdrick's sword happened to be in here, but it's not. And so he's running out of ways for him to get an equipment lead in front of Bobski as we get more information about what's on the map. It's mostly going to come down to who's going to be successful getting into Garen's tomb or Mountain Cave if either of one of those turns out to have the sword. And I'm kind of surprised. I guess Bobski still really wants the silver shield that he even popped into the Remolder shop. Yeah, I guess the agility is still kind of low on his side, and so silver shield could easily still be on his mind. At this point, with flame sword, magic armor, and a large shield, I might have decided that I'm already kind of like done with gold grinding on this seed, unless it turns really desperate. I suppose seeing an armored knight with sleep is definitely something that lends yourself to trying to get as much defense as possible.
Would you also consider it more knowing that you had to go back into the grave and knowing that you could probably death warp out and get it without too much more of a struggle?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is an easy gold grind to reset up, provided. Oh no, not even provided. There's the 3 chests in the back of Garenham, and so you could take 1 step into Garen's tomb and have the death warp immediately already set you up for the gold grind. So yeah, that's a good point. The gold grind is so incredibly easy to set up on the seed.
Yeah, even that, or just kind of digging your way through a little bit of the of Garen's tomb itself.
Well,
Kind of
Bobski's tried
exploring.
twice and hasn't succeeded at that. That's the only counterpoint I have there. Oh, and now he's taking on a Demon Knight. I like the fact that he's going after this enemy. If he manages to win, it's got hurt, so I think he's a favorite to win. It's going to give him a lot of experience. It's going to give him level 7. And meanwhile, Couch still continuing to press on through the map and explore pretty well. Other than the Blue Dragon and 1 Axe Knight, we haven't seen too many overworld enemies that are certainly going to take the runners down.
Well, if you happen to get slept by the AK-47, you might also get the DL2 breath on the other side of that equation. So he's got both. Looks like we're also encountering a red dragon and punching for quite a lot, but has so far just punched Couch a couple times. So there's always the opportunity there for perhaps one of the enemies we're going to see a lot of, potentially in Charlock or somewhere else, not having a significant role on Bird or Sleep or something of that nature.
Indeed. Yeah, you don't want to see a red dragon, but if you're going to see one, it might as well just bite you as opposed to try to put you to sleep. So, given some of the other Charlock enemies we've seen, I guess we can call that good news.
Looks like he may also have had baby breath, according to chat, so that might actually be even better news.
Couch continuing to ignore the possibility of doing a gold grind, passing up the chest in the back of Garenham, and just trying to dive for the chest in Garen's tomb. And
Man,
meanwhile, the Wombo AK takes down Bobski again.
how about Star Wyverns with DL2 breath as well, right on top of the chest in the tomb? So it's pretty rough.
And keep in mind that the top layer of Garen's tomb has the same enemies as the bottom layer of Mountain Cave, which means the 4 chests that are down there are also going to be guarded by the same incredible set of enemies. So if there's important items down there, it could take a number of dives into either one of these places before any of the runners is going to get the items out.
Yeah, let's see. I know he's seen Blue Dragon and Star Wyvern down there. I don't know that he's seen the third of the nasty enemies, but Couch looks like he may be setting up for another attempt at, seeing as he was so close to the attempt before.
And we're seeing up on our screen the stats for the Armored Knight. The one tiny bit of good in his capabilities is that he's only 25% to use the Dragon Lord 2 Breath Fire, 50% sleep. And yeah, also being pointed out, the 7 out of 16 stop spell resist means you've got a little better than 50% chance of trying to prevent that sleep from going off. On Couch's side, since he's already up at level 8 with 47 agility and kind of average-ish stats, the hit points are doing pretty decent. It's still hard to tell where the agility is going to end up on this seed. Seems like kind of a typical, right now, level 16 or 17 kind of seed, where the agility might just turn out to be in the 70s, in which case they're going to be in real trouble if they've got sleepy Charlock enemies. But, oh! It looks like Couch made it to the 3 chests, and the one bit of exciting news that he really needed, Erdrick's Sword, was in the 3rd of those 3 chests. With Erdrick's Sword, he finally has an equipment advantage that Bobski doesn't have. He's still way behind on armor, And since Bobski does have the Flame Sword, it's only 12 extra attack power, but given the limited strength that the players have, that is a useful thing for Couch to have finally under his belt.
Yeah, that's definitely something that, if you're kind of rooting for him to keep pace, that's something you really wanted to see pop up at some point in the next little while. And it may turn him towards Hawk's Nest and looking to see if he can't get a hold of that item as well, because if that were either armor or token, it would give you another piece of the equation down, but you'll have to get through the red dragon first.
Yeah, you nailed it in terms of his plans. He headed straight over there, and it is the Red Dragon. Sadly, unless he gets an excellent move, possibly two excellent moves, he's just not strong enough to take it down right now. And so if it does turn out that the armor is there, it's still going to be a while before he could regain that potential advantage over Bobski.
Yeah, he's probably at least a couple levels away and perhaps a gold grind away on top of that from being able to really combat the red dragon. So looks like he's gonna go a different direction for now. Maybe kind of see if he can't find his way towards coal or swamp to get over to a potential second continent.
Yeah, and coal could be very important to both runners. We've seen all the other shops don't have a silver shield. Coal might still have a silver shield available for sale, which might be useful at the end of the game. And of course, coal is one of the places with the search spot that might have the armor. So if either one of the players finds that, and it does turn out to have the armor, that'd be a huge advantage for them as well. But as we have some slow grinds, as the players keep going up against what's turning out to be a lot of different areas that have very difficult Charlock enemies, now might be a time for a quick recap summary. For those of you who don't know much about Dragon Warrior and Dragon Warrior Randomizer, the goal, of course, is to defeat the evil Dragon Lord who lives in Charlock Castle, a castle that we haven't seen on screen yet. But in order to get into Charlock Castle, the runners are going to have to acquire 3 items: the Staff of Rain, the Stones of Sunlight, and Erdrick's Token, to be combined into the Rainbow Drop, which will create a bridge that allows you to enter Charlock Castle. That's why they're trying to dive the various dungeons, like Garen's Tomb that Bobski is in, to find treasure chests that might have some of these items. And Bobski has made it to the top 3 chests. Bobski has just negated the small advantage that Couch had in terms of equipment, as he now too possesses Erdrick's sword, the most powerful sword in the game. 40 attack power, added on to his strength.
Yep, so that 12 attack power that was missing in between the flame sword and Erdrick's sword is now gone. But the 2 level advantage has been restored by Couch 23's. And he's
Right.
got Stop Spell now.
Which completely, negates one of the things that I said, which is back at about 17 minutes. I said by about 25 minutes, I thought Bobski's equipment advantage was going to allow him to catch back up in experience. And instead, Bobski has just been banging his head against a variety of unkillable monsters that appear in a lot of places. I wonder, Bobski, other than the Rogue Scorpion, I'm trying to think of a really great enemy. I guess Demon Knight and Wraith Knight are all enemies who are in the range of killing and be really worth it for the experience. I see Bobski's found a Wyvern over on his screen right now. That's another good enemy. But I'd really want to grind and try to see if Hurtmore is around the corner.
Couch got a werewolf right before this and was able to take it down for that last level, but the second werewolf he ran into decided to dodge his excellent hit and then dodge 2 more hits on top of that and ran him out of MP, so unfortunately not quite the enemy he was hoping to find and took him down.
And I guess it missed it earlier. Ali, our tracker, is pointing out that the Wraith Knight has sleep, so that's actually not a good enemy. So the Demon Knight had hurt, I know. The Rogue Scorpion just seemed to have a basic attack. And so those are 2 of the enemies that give, I think, 70 and 90 or 95 experience, respectively. That could really help you. Ooh, here's a Magi Wyvern on Bobski's screen, and he immediately puts it to sleep, which is smart. Like the Stone Man, the Magi Wyvern only has a 1 in 16 sleep resistance, and he is dealing enough damage that he should be able to take this down. That's going to be 83 experience. This is one of the great mid-game enemies to grind when you have the sleep spell.
Doesn't seem like he's playing along too nicely to start this fight, however.
Yeah, Magi Wyvern playing the role of the cranky toddler who doesn't want to go to sleep, apparently. He's woken back up twice, and now Bobski is just trying to use Heal More and keep on striking him to finally get him down. But that one enemy just put him more than half the way that he had left up to the next level to get up to level 8. If you can find one more of those, that'll be great.
And right on time. Magi Wyvern number 2.
And the second Magi Wyvern plays much nicer. Bobski's going to move up to level 8. That'll give him a bit of a strength boost, as well as some other decent stats.
We see Couch going back into Darrenham, maybe going back into the grave again here. A little bit surprised that he's going back, given he has the top 3 chests already cleared. But maybe he wants to see if he can't really push an advantage if he gets a hold of those last 2. But doesn't have a torch, so he may be considering getting a torch before he goes in there.
Bobski appears to be somewhere along the top of the map. I kind of lost track of how he walked up here. Oh, I guess that was just from the north of Tanagel. I can't quite recognize exactly where Bobski's at. But yeah, we still haven't seen Swamp Cave, and so there could be a second continent. And that seems at this point where Sharlock and Cole must be, because it feels like we've seen most of the first continent, I feel like, so far.
I feel like he went kind of northwest, because he was kind of up on the western side of the swamp, past the 2 towns right off the start, and fought those Magi Wyverns in that zone before heading that way. So perhaps he went kind of west-northwest and then kind of wrapped around, as we have found the big sea and a cave right behind it. So right on time.
Indeed. Up to NG saying that it looks like a long time to still be level 8 and 9. Up to NG, Axe Knights and Arbor Knights both have sleep, as well as at least 1 or 2 other enemies that we've encountered. And there haven't been that many mid-game enemies, so that's really slowed down the players in terms of progress. Yeah, Red Dragon taking Bobski down again. Our death counter currently up to 12 and 13 on each of the 2 sides. Here, just not even 40 minutes into the race. So players taking a lot of deaths as they keep banging their head against the enemies in this seed. No really terrific grind spot has stuck out, and even the somewhat mediocre grind spots, neither player has had kind of the patience just to try to stick around and grind another level or 2.
Yep, and the other part of this potential problem scenario is what Bobski is about to encounter on this tile here. Can't necessarily pick up your armor or your token.
Red Dragon, he has a tiny chance against the red right now, doesn't he? He could get low rolls that allow him to get a shot in between heal mores, and if he gets an excellent move, and he gets an excellent move, 47, he could possibly win this if he's persistent and heals if the Red Dragon has a bit. Oh no, the Red Dragon has heal more. Oh no. Bobski doesn't learn Stop Spell for another level, so he definitely needs to come back, and depending upon how Stop Spell resistant the Red Dragon is, oh boy. And what's really ironic there is if Bobski's excellent move had come 1 hit later, he might have taken the red down right there. So once again, just a tiny bit of sequencing. We talked about at the beginning that he got a scorpion and then a red slime rather than a red slime then a scorpion. Tiny little bits of sequencing and randomness can really change an outcome.
just looking at it, would be what, a 106 max on the dragon's HP. He had a 25, so getting kind of another mid 20 roll, or maybe he had just under 20. But yeah, stacking 2 or 3 of those regular attacks into that excellent hit probably would have taken him down, but instead, probably not going to get that luck anytime soon.
I'm not sure that I'd think about it in the moment while I was playing, but sitting back at the commentary and also having the advantage of having seen both players, at this point, with all of the carnage that looks like coming later, I would really want to try to find a spot with a Magi Wyvern or a Rogue Scorpion and just sit back and grind. It seems like nothing is going to allow you to have any kind of easy progress until you get some more levels under your belt, especially on Bobski's side where he hasn't even seen Stop Spell yet. To have a chance. Bobski is searching the Sparko Bridge. I'm sure the chat's going to enjoy that. A bridge to a little one-tile island.
Yep, run validation. It is also not too terribly far away from what I remember on the coordinates. It's got to be somewhere in that general area, maybe a little bit further north. It looks like we're going to get to see the harp turned in at this point, because that was what was behind Charlock.
All right, so that's a necessary bit of business done on Bobski's side, but we're still missing the Swamp Cave and coal. And I can definitely understand if Bobski's strategy is let's find coal and hope the armor is there. Pretty reasonable. It would definitely offer at least some manner of protection against the armored knights who have 50% sleep and 25% Dragon Lord 2 breath that we've already seen pop up in the stats earlier. Bobski does run into another Magi Wyvern. This is going to get him most of the way to level 9, and I'm curious, once level 9 comes and Bobski learns Stop Spell, I wonder if he'll go take another stab at the Red Dragon.
Yeah, it may take a chance on this Red Dragon just to see where he sits, but with the Stop Spell failing and taking that pretty legitimate slap to the face right off the bat, looks like he'll have to try again later.
All right, but Couch is hot on his heels as far as keeping up with the plot items. He has traded in the harp to get the Staff of Rain over on his side as well. And so, other than the magic armor that Popsky did a gold grind for, and that Couch has had a gold grind available the entire seed basically for, that's the main bit of equipment difference between our two runners. Otherwise, they have exactly the same stuff.
And it's really only particularly troublesome to me at this point if Bobski manages to pull off this fight with the Red Dragon and it is the magic armor, because the lack of defensive power on Couch's side because of that lack of armor, magic armor that is, might make it near impossible for him to really fit 2 attacks in between, so he may not be able to heal more.
Agreed. Okay, Bobski managed to land a Stop Spell this time, so I think he has a real shot at taking out the Red Dragon. He needs to be patient. If the Red Dragon does bite for, I don't know, 30 some odd or more, he needs to definitely do a double heal more potentially, just to make sure he stays alive and keeps the battle going. He's seen 1 of 2 Stop Spells land, I think, thus far. He doesn't really have a good sense of what the Red Stop Spell resistance could be, and so having landed 1 at the start of this battle, he just wants to press, and stay alive.
Yep, on the other side, we saw Couch go just a little bit further off past picking up the Staff of Rain, and he is now on the north side of the swamp, and we find the Stone Man is the guardian of the tile inside of the swamp.
And Couch doesn't try to put it to sleep. He's just trying to fight through it. I can't remember what all Couch has seen. I guess Cole is the only town that he's still missing right now, too. I can't remember if he saw Breckenridge.
Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, depending on what our friend the Golem has later, it's just the fairy flute underneath the Red Dragon.
All right, Couch defeated the Stone Man. He does have the outside spell, but he doesn't have the magic to cast outside. So, what is the point of heading towards the princess at this point? I'm not sure what his plan is.
Well, we're never going to find out the answer to that, unfortunately. It looks like the Wraith has eliminated all possibility of getting to the door.
But yeah, at this point, I think we've seen a little bit of Couch's inexperience with doing races kind of showing up, not knowing to try to put the Stone Man to sleep, not realizing that it always has a very high sleep susceptibility, as well as continuing to ignore the gold grind, are both things that at this point are really going to start setting him behind. Bobski is doing some counting, it looks like, over on his side. It was a long way to count. And I didn't realize where he started right at the beginning. But if this pays off for him, it could be huge.
It looks like there's at least points that he can reference on the map and kind of put the coordinates there in case he manages to take a death to something such as a dragon in this case. It's always what I find interesting about counting it out by hand, basically, is that it's almost never going to be a straight line, especially with the updates to the randomizer most recently. It tends to kind of have a windy and kind of a 1 or 2 tile walkway in between big land masses. So having those reference points or finding reference points along the way that you can walk to and write down what the specific coordinate is there can kind of help you along your way.
So on my screen, I've got dragons on both sides. The name of the game is Dragon Warrior, and there was just a peal of thunder after a big bolt of lightning outside my window. And so it's like, Dragon Warrior.
Yep, something neither one really wants to see until they get a few more levels, but kind of making the most of it. But it is draining on Bobski's MP, which could make it more difficult to find his way the rest of the way to the coordinates.
That said, if Bobski's taken down green dragons, this is great experience for him right now. When you're at level 9 and 10, like 130 experience is a big deal. And it looks like he is going to take down this green dragon. That's going to bring him up to level 10. And this is the first time since the beginning of the race that Bobski is now at least the same level as Couch. Given the difficulty of the enemies, Bobski's extra equipment didn't help him gain experience very much early in the game, because even with better equipment, it was still the case that most of the enemies were too hard to take down. But now the equipment, the magic armor, may actually start paying off for Bobski.
Alright, looks like Couch is gonna change his plans again, maybe try and get back towards the swamp cave that he found earlier. Because he also knows the coordinates and maybe isn't as confident in being able to count out such a significant distance across several different snake-like continents. Bobski appears to have found the area that he thinks his coordinates led to, but is coming up empty-handed, so that's kind of one of the downsides to searching the coordinates by hand, is occasionally you will not find the correct tile due to miscounting or kind of getting pushed off track by fighting.
He knows approximately where he was. It turns out that it's very near the swamp cave, so given that it appears this count has failed, it looks like he's now going to try to go rescue Princess Gwaelin. And with sleep and with the assets that he has available to him, Oh, except for he doesn't have sleep because he's already out of magic. Right. All the green dragon whittling him down.
Yep. Looks like just an information get on his side, but knowing
Yeah,
the
now a
stone
death
man is
warp.
volatile. Yeah. I think now that he knows what that enemy is, it makes going and picking up Gwalen and getting the coordinates in that method may be the best solution.
Well, assuming that people who are watching don't want to root for the Dragon Lord and the bad guys on this one, if you're not sure who to root for, we could phrase this race as a cat person versus dog person. I've watched a number of Couch's streams, and he often has his cat Cheddar pop up and meow and play with him a bit while he's trying to play various JRPGs. Meanwhile, Bobski has some corgi dogs that he's often got pictures up on during the screen, like while he's doing Dragon Warrior randomizer races. So if you're a dog person, maybe you want to root for Bobski. If you're a cat person, maybe you want to root for Couch. But yeah, I've enjoyed watching a number of these guys' streams in the past.
See, I consider myself a cat guy, but if and when I was playing games, my cat would just say, "Oh, look, there's a wire. Let's gnaw on it."
Cats, yeah, that is definitely something they may do.
Good to see his cat plays nice.
I myself am a cat person, but given Bobski's experience and the strategies he's showing off right now, I have to think that he's the favorite in this race. But the Star Wyvern disagrees, using Dragon Lord 2 Breath to send him back to Tanagal. And I hate to keep harping on it, but I feel like where Bobski saw the Rogue Scorpion was like the only enemy that was showing up in that zone when he was repelling. I could be wrong, but I really want him to just like grind out another level or two on grindable enemies.
I want to say the game's namesake was also up there as well in that same general vicinity, and he,
I
I think,
see.
died to it soon after. But it may have been the next zone to the right that he encountered.
Yeah, I guess a green dragon is the only nice one at this point. The blue dragon, the red dragon, the armored knight, the axe knight, and do we also see a werewolf? I guess Couch defeated a werewolf but died to a werewolf. Did the werewolf have any special attacks? I don't remember. I don't think it did.
No, it just got dodge happy on him, and he hasn't gone back to that area. But he has, I think, has he gone through swamp to find what appears to be? Is this swamp still, or is this potentially mountain cave? Given how far to the right he's going,
Well, Bobski is back here in Swamp Cave, headed toward the Stone Man, who's going to try to defeat to save Princess Gwalen. And it looks like Couch is also just going north to south through the Swamp Cave. Going to the south end, if he chooses to do that, Cole could be right there. The armor could be right there. So I'd really like to see what's on the second continent at some point.
yeah, looks like he had tried to find his way to the Stone Man in the dark, and then kind of looped around and is now going south.
Now, the worst possible thing I think for Couch is if Mountain Cave is visible right over here, and it is. He does not want to go in there. It is instant death. It's the same as the top of Garen's tomb, or the bottom of Mountain Cave will be the same as the top of Garen's tomb. So even though the top floor may be okay, if he dives into the bottom floor, it's almost certain death. And he really needs to find Cole.
I wonder, maybe he should check kind of the enemy set down here, because there may be some things he can take out. Although it looks relatively weak across the board on this floor. And now he's kind of in the danger zone.
And since Bobski is going to be busy rescuing the princess, he could continue on to the south end just to take a peek. But I have a feeling, given the way that this seed is gone, he's probably going to choose just to try to return with the princess as safely as possible, as quickly as possible. Yeah, he casts outside, uses the wings. He's going to get Princess Gwaylin's love and try to use the GPS to locate the coordinates, probably desperately hoping that it's going to turn out to be Erdrick's armor.
Something big on the other side, though. We have found the token inside of the mountain cave.
And so since we know there are coordinates, the coordinates have to lead to the armor. Coal has to be empty. And so Bobski's Gambit is totally going to pay off.
Yep, and really, it shouldn't take Couch too long himself to actually go ahead and do the same thing, because now he's probably thinking, well, if I've just found the token, then going to find coal is almost meaningless at this point.
Indeed. And yeah, I hear that coal is imaginary anyway, so just makes sense. At level 10, Bobski finally has enough strength that on the Magi Wyvern, he just takes 2 swings to take it down, rather than having to put it to sleep. That's going to give him enough experience to get to level 11, which has some moderate stats. We're still missing the Hurt More spell, and it might matter that we're still missing Return as well, but now we'll get a chance to find out just how close Bobski was on his count. He's going to head over to the same area and then use Princess Gwaylin's Love, the GPS, the Gwaylin positioning system, to find out what his coordinates are relative to Tanagel and where the armor is going to be buried. Alright, I just had an internet blip there. Am I still alive?
Yeah, I think it may be just on the restream side a little bit, but we do see that we have the rainbow drop on Couch's side.
And I guess both of them have seen Charlock, because it was right over there near the cave. Bobski found Sunstone's cave, which I've forgotten that we hadn't seen yet, and now he's activating Gwaylin's Love to find out how close he is to those coordinates. Bobski is 1 step away.
So he was actually on his first check, 1 south.
He searched 1 tile away from that at some point. He checked about 10 tiles around there, so he was really close. That's frustrating. But he does have the armor now, and little does he know, he actually has a huge advantage at this point.
Yeah, well, it's a bit of a walk to kind of find that, given that he also found the swamp cave just after that. That might make him feel the exact opposite of what is true.
I guess the informational advantage that Couch has by finding the token in Mountain Cave, though, shouldn't be ignored, because Bobski's probably thinking the token is still going to be in coal. If he does happen to go through the swamp cave again, check out the second continent, and maybe is short on resources, he might choose to skip the mountain cave and try to come back, hoping that coal is going to be just around the corner, in which case that would turn out to be a bad move. Yeah, I've had a bunch of things that I've been speculating about that have turned out to be completely wrong. I thought for sure that Couch was going to die when he went to the bottom of the mountain cave, and instead he pulled out the token, which was extremely important.
Yeah, considering the enemy set there was what, AK, a dragon, I know golems down there. He had to dodge a lot of things. I think he only saw one of the worst of the enemies and a magician on his way to actually picking up two of the chests on that level, one happening to be the important one.
Well, Bobski is now on the top end of the mountain cave. Top end's going to be safe. I think maybe the first chest had a key, and then we'll head downstairs and see if he can manage to pull the token out of there as well.
Yep. Their agility is getting to the point where it's potentially possible to get through some of the stuff.
Right, we're seeing on the tracker that some of the stats are starting to get into the orange, which basically is when you're starting to approach levels that you might be prepared to fight the Dragon Lord. White is still kind of just mid-game normal levels. Eventually those stats are going to start turning green as we get closer and closer to being prepared enough to possibly fight the Dragon Lord. But in this seed, depending upon who's in Sharlock, it might not be the Dragon Lord who ends up being kind of the big bad boss. It might be Sharlock itself, if it has a lot of Armored Knights, Axe Knights, and Red Dragons.
Yep, it's certainly concerning anytime a more significant enemy has sleep and either a lot of a potential attack behind its punch or deal 2 breath or things of that nature. Speaking of the latter, we saw the Star Wyvern yet again. I guess that was the enemy I was forgetting in that setup.
Bobski has had some really bad luck on the overworld. He has been close to finding things a few times where he just gets blown away by one of these Sharlock tier enemies that can one-shot him. He has enough hit points that if he keeps his hit points up all the way, he's not going to get one-shot by the Dragon Lord 2 breath, but oh, right. He's got the armor, so yeah. The fact that Star Wyvern is still wiping him just speaks to how difficult these enemies are in this seed. Should be pointed out, by the way, that a new feature that's on our tracker is that now that Bobski has gotten the armor from the coordinates, it actually shows on the tracker that at the coordinates was the armor. Thanks to Captain Uhu, who keeps updating the tracker with little features like that to improve things. It's a really nice layout.
Looks like Bobski's once again in grave, maybe trying to get to these two instead of going back to Mountain first. Could still potentially pay off with something useful, though. We haven't seen Death Necklace or the Fighter's Ring. Both would potentially add some attack power in the event that the health roll got there, but the attack did not.
And for all Bobski knows, the token could be down here as well. This could be an opportunity for Bobski to get some good experience.
And kind of the unfortunate thing that I had seen on the other side leading up to this was Couch appears to be looking for the last town, which is Cole, so I think he may be kind of gambling on the Red Dragon hiding nothing, because he has not seen the flute yet. We'll hope to get this back up for you in just a moment.
But yeah, here we are over an hour into the seed now. And while Bobski's equipment is pretty good and he's pretty much only missing the token, it still feels like we're a long ways away from the end game. The Stone Man is killable, but is not a very good grind spot. And with all the difficult Sharlock enemies, I have to imagine that once Bobski does manage to find the token and get his hands on the rainbow drop, he'll probably want to dive into Sharlock and start getting a sense of exactly what's going to be in there to figure out how much extra grinding he might need to do on this seed. I like in the chat Betastrep's interpretation of when Bobski's screen faded out. Censoring the Red Dragon fight, it was too hot for Twitch. Both parties had to heal more. That could be a long battle. All right, Bobski now is headed down into the deepest depths of Garen's tomb. Is he going to come up with any interesting items down here? Once again, Fighter's Ring, Death Necklace, and for all Bobski knows, token isn't actually down here, but the token could be down here as well. So he has a few things to hope for.
Yep. Also got another look at the Rogue Scorpion. Only has the smaller of the 2 hurt spells, so pretty solid enemy that looks to only punch and hurt, as you had suggested earlier.
And yeah, it looks like you were right, because probably that zone that we saw in the overworld is probably the same as this zone at the bottom of Garen's tomb, and the Red Dragon is in it as well. So that said, I don't remember seeing any zone that has good enemies and no awful enemies. So I can imagine seeing a Stone Man grind that we're going to see the players do possibly later, or at least Bobski do. I don't know that Couch is going to try to do it since he wasn't using sleep on the Stone Man.
I certainly don't think he's going to do it in the near term. It looks like he's still focused on at least getting Gwaelin rescued and getting the coordinates and the GPS figured out.
Bobski finds the Fighter's Ring at the bottom of the tomb. It's an extra 2 attack power as he goes and equips it. And yeah, given the way the stats are going in the seed, every little bit's going to count. Maybe Bobski wants to make 9 more dives so he can wear a Fighter's Ring on every finger. Alright, Couch looks like he has a real shot at taking down the Stone Man.
Yep, had his wings prepared as well, so made the smart pickup earlier to have those wings ready to go and get Gwaelin back to the castle in one piece.
And yeah, assuming that this bit goes smoothly, if he gets to the coordinates and gets the armor, he's going to be almost at parity with Bobski in terms of equipment. Couch has the advantage of having already gotten Erdrick's token. Bobski has the advantage of having already gotten the Fighter's Ring.
Yeah, I mean, I'd almost tentatively put it in Couch 23's favor the moment he finds Erdrick's armor. I mean, the 2 attack power is nice, but it's if you get one good roll of strength coming up at any point that kind of pushes you past the, say, 130 mark or 120 with the Death Necklace, that 2 attack power, may not really mean all that much in the end.
Agreed. Plus, given what we've seen out of the enemies, Sharlock might turn out to be an RNG fest, so this one does seem like it could be anyone's match. Bobski has gone out to the other side of Swamp and is choosing not to go back into Mountain Cave. I think he's going to look for coal, thinking the token is there. So this could slow him down even more depending upon how large this continent is. I don't feel like it could be that large. I feel like the first continent was pretty large, and so it ought not take Bobski too much time to cover all of this ground and find coal, assuming that it's here. But depending upon what's out here, this could be another huge swing.
Looks like the benefit of clearing out Hawk's Nest, though, is coming into play, as he's already found a golem on that side of the swamp cave and is able to at least put to sleep with the fairy flute and potentially run or fight it and maybe pick up a decent chunk of experience, seeing as he still needs a little bit more of that to really be viable in Charlotte.
Druin Ward is also a pretty good enemy for Bobski to be fighting right now to get some more experience. Meanwhile, Couch is closing in on the coordinates using Gwaelin's Love.
Well, Cole's not going to stinker for much longer now. He's going to go over there and search and find out the bad news.
He might find some good news in Cole as well, though. He's still on the hunt for a silver shield, and the way this seed has been going, I imagine he will try to get it if it is available in the shop. So we'll at least get a chance to see if Cole might be selling the silver shield, and that could potentially give him an equipment advantage again if he finds it and it's there.
Or he could cast Repel and just prove you wrong. So I guess he's going to give up on the silver shield at this point.
I guess so, and yeah, I'm like 1 for 5 on predictions here. So, despite the fact that Bobski did a huge gold grind at the beginning, immediately started off with Flame Sword, Magic Armor, and a large shield, whereas Couch was walking around with hardly anything for a good portion of the seed, now we have Couch going into Charlotte Castle with an equipment advantage, while Bobski is still looking for the token. And behind on... I guess Bobski does have the Fighter's Ring. But Bobski's still behind on experience. I guess the experience is really close. Bobski's probably going to get a temporary lead here if he can take out this golem quickly.
Now, looks like Couch23 is hoping that the Death Necklace is down here, and the odds are relatively good, but maybe a little bit difficult to get through here, so he may only understand what enemies are in the first portion of Charlotte.
Yeah, I can imagine he's just in here to kind of like check out what enemies he's going to be encountering in Charlotte, and also he's looking for somewhere decent to grind. Maybe he can actually kill some of these enemies. I can't remember if he has seen the Sleep from the Axe Knight yet or not. He definitely hasn't.
Yeah, he stop spelled the Axe Knight immediately, so I feel like he's probably figured out what that guy is.
And I can't remember on the tracker, have we seen what the Axe Knight's stop spell resistance was? I know the Armored Knight had a 7 out of 16 stop spell resistance.
I felt like it was really low.
And the Red Dragon, given that it has Heal More, is another interesting enemy to know what the stop spell resistance actually is.
Looks like I am wrong.
Bobski is down in the bottom of Mountain Cave. He's finding more golems, which is honestly one of the best items, or best enemies to be grinding right now, and he's getting really close to the token.
So Hurtmore did not wait until level 13, neither did, or level 16 rather, and neither did Repel, so, or Return. Man, reading is hard.
What are those R spells?
Well, I've been known to misclick Return when I met Repel, so.
Accidentally casting Return when you don't mean to is like one of the worst things in terms of mismenuing.
Alrighty, we have the token get on Bobski's side, so now we're really just looking at a experience lead in terms of in-game experience, and perhaps an experience lead in terms of just overall game knowledge being the big swing between the two runners.
And the Star Wyvern is another enemy that's going to cause huge problems because it seems to be perhaps 75% Dragon Lord 2 Breath. Couch now has enough hit points that he's always going to be able to survive and have a chance to hit or run. Bobski's hit points still make the Star Wyvern an extremely dangerous enemy, and he runs into a Sleepy AK just to top things off. At least he's already got his hands on the token. He'd like to know if the Death Necklace might be down here, but if he happens to die in the Mountain Cave, he'll probably just start getting his Rainbow Drop and checking out what the good or bad news is going to be in Charlock as well. Stats for the Star Wyvern show that it's 50% heal more, as well as being 75% Dragon Lord 2 Breath. That's another ugly, ugly Charlock enemy. We've got 4 enemies that you really don't want to fight. The Golem and Stoneman honestly seem like the good ones. I wonder if there's any chance after Bobski eventually makes it into Charlock and takes a look at it, if he'll go back and actually grind Stonemen in the Swamp Cave.
This definitely seems like the Charlock setup where you may want a little bit of extra MP going into it.
And honestly, looking at the various stats that the players have right now, 14, 15, I don't imagine either of those is going to be enough. I think this is going to be 16, 17, possibly level 18 seed. And now that I've said that, we're sure that 14 is going to come up with huge stats and it'll totally be go time because all of my predictions are wrong.
Well, the consolation prizes, I'm pretty sure the runners would be thrilled if you were wrong in that case.
True.
Because from experience, the strength sub 60 seeds are not the most fun seeds to play, especially if it keeps on going forever.
Bobski's making sure he's got enough keys so he'll be able to check out the Charlock treasury since he's probably still thinking about the Death Necklace in the back of his mind just in case a bunch of hit points show up in the next few levels. But then he goes over to visit the Jerk to trade in Staff of Rain, Stones of Sunlight, and Erdrick's token for the Rainbow Drop. He now has the ability to create a bridge to enter Charlock and see what Couch has been seeing. I think we have 2 more races scheduled later today. One race that couldn't quite fit into week 1 is scheduled at 6 p.m. that I think it's between Tristal and Ouija Wee. And then there's another race at 10 p.m., I think. I don't remember exactly who it is. Maybe it was 9. I should look at the schedule rather than just trying to remember and speculating.
10 o'clock is Centroid41, who beat me in week 1 race, and Smashy, I want to say.
That 10 p.m. race, yeah, a couple more very experienced runners. 6 p.m. one as well, so some more good races coming up later today. If you love Dragon Warrior Randomizer, this is a great time of year for you. And even though those Axe Knights have sleep, Hurt More usually kills them in one shot 2 out of 3 times or so. So Couch is kind of hoping to see Axe Knights now. Seems like the Wizard is also an enemy that's going to be relatively easy to kill. And so it looks like Couch is creeping up on level 14.
Yep. And on the other side, looks like the zone that has the green dragon in it does not have any of the other really nasty stuff, so that may be Bobski's play here.
And that could turn out to be really clever. When you find an enemy that's killable, that's worth a good bit of experience, in a zone that's either hills tiles or desert tiles, in a seed like this where none of the grind tiles are looking good, we had the Stone Man way far away in Swamp Cave, and the Red Dragon with Heal More in Hawk's Nest. This Green Dragon play could turn out to be a really brilliant grind here that Bobski has going. We'll check it out just to see what kind of pace he's keeping with the enemies Couch is taking down. At the moment right now, Bobski's about 300 experience behind. Let's check in, another 5 minutes and see where we're at.
Yeah, level 14 just bringing the MP up above the 100 mark. And for Bobski, it brings attack power to 101, but that's still a good distance away from where we would ideally like to be going through Sharlock, hoping for Death Necklace even.
Yeah, when you're still looking up to the point to where you can definitely lay 1 damage on the Dragon Lord, you still have a long ways to go. An interesting play here. Couch has gone back into Garen's tomb. In here, I think we had Blue Dragon, Wizard, Armored Knight, Golem. I can't remember who the 5th enemy is. The Golem is definitely a pretty good enemy for him right now, since it's just going to hit and you can just heal more through it. The Armored Knight obviously is going to be a wild card that if it shows up too much and puts you to sleep, you're going to be very unhappy. We'll have to see how this grind turns out to work out for Couch down here.
Don't know if you've mentioned the Jerkbird down there yet, but I thought he would. I don't know that he's checked the other 2 chests, or I thought for a second he may be looking for Death Necklace.
I see. I think possibly I saw him cast a Repel downstairs, and Repel unfortunately doesn't work inside of dungeons, it only works in the overworld. So that's not going to keep the Magician away. But an excellent move is going to help cut through a Golem pretty quickly for another 255 experience, so that's a good thing that he's got going.
Even with that 255, it looks like the consistency that the Green Dragon is offering and the amount of encounters that Bobski is getting is leading the experience gap closer and closer to even. In fact, maybe even now.
Yeah, and Couch has discovered that casting Hurt More at the empty air is not worth any experience, with a little bit of a miss menu when he was trying to heal. Bobski finally decided that, you know what, even though I've been getting some decent experience here, let's check out and see what Sharlock looks like in case I'm missing a floor filled with something good. I don't know, all wizards, that's what he wants to see.
Yep, looks like he may be diving for knowledge, and knowledge will maybe right off the bat lead to think it's full of wizards. Unfortunately, that is pretty far from the truth. Or he could just keep finding wizards.
There is more of the reality setting in. However, he does successfully land the stop spell on the red dragon right at the beginning, so this is going to be another good 255 experience. And with an excellent move, Bobski is going to take the lead in experience, at least briefly, away from Couch right here. Couch is going to catch back up quickly, assuming that he manages to defeat this golem. And while experience isn't everything in Dragon Warrior Randomizer, it's a good proxy for your overall progress, and so the experience comparison between these two runners means we have a race. Oh, Bobski, so unlucky. Hurtmore just failed against the Axe Knight. It's only 1 in 16 that Hurtmore isn't going to land against the Axe Knight. It's gone and immediately put him to sleep. He wakes up with just a few hit points left, tries the Hurtmore again, and this time it manages to work. But it looks like he's probably going to end up with a Death Warp out of Sharlock. Bobski, before taking the Death Warp, manages to land another stop spell on the Red Dragon. I can't remember how many times he's managed to stop spell the Red Dragon. I feel like the very first time he tried, it failed. But I think the last 4 or 5 times that he's tried it, it succeeded. I wonder if that's at all tickling the back of his brain, thinking that, maybe Hawk's Nest would work as a grind.
If nothing else, just seeing how lucky he can get with the stop spell in and around how many encounters. Or, yeah, Hawk's Nest. Maybe in his mind, yeah.
All right, at least for the moment, it looks like Bobski has decided the name of the game is Dragon Warrior, and so he needs to go fight some dragons. Walks back to the Hawk's Nest swamp tile, casts Stop Spell against the red dragon, starts taking him down, and if these stop spells keep landing, this is going to turn into be probably the most efficient grind that's going to be available in this seed.
Yep, and the excellent moves certainly don't hurt either.
I guess Bobski also possibly couldn't remember what enemies were in Hawk's Nest, or maybe did remember that there was, I think there's a Spectre in here as well, but there was a green dragon. So that gives him another level up without having to take on another red dragon. Just to quickly see if the next level is going to be it. It is not, so he's back to stop spelling the red dragon. This time it actually misses, but that's still only maybe 2 stop spell misses out of 8 or 9 attempts. And so it seems like probably at least 3/4 of the time the stop spell is landing. And at 255 a pop, the red dragon is a very good enemy. And once it is stop spelled, that means once you get it down to 75% of its hit points, it's not going to hit you anymore, probably, as it tries to heal instead. And now it looks like Couch is possibly changing strategy, and he's come back into Hawk's Nest. All right, this could be really interesting. Right now, Bobski has an experience lead, and might be keeping it. Now he's walking out. What is Bobski thinking now?
Back to the green dragons? Don't know.
Possibly the Stone Man? Was there some other grind that he thought about? I definitely don't mind the fact that he's trying different grinds. But yeah, the red dragon did not seem too bad. One thing I'll definitely say from having seen Bobski do a number of races is he's definitely imaginative. He's not someone who's necessarily going to take the straight and narrow path. He's willing to try some crazy ideas.
Certainly an interesting trade-off with the other two options that are not Hawk's Nest. You have quite a bit of distance between yourself and the green dragons he was fighting earlier. I'm not sure if this is the same tile that he's looking at here.
He previously was on the hills that are just down to the right. He knows the green dragon, he's walking back down there now, are on these tiles, and I guess he was wondering, since there's a desert nearby, maybe the green dragons were also in that same zone up in the desert. You can walk on the desert tiles faster than you can walk on the hills tiles, but they still have the high encounter rate, and so I guess he was hoping to see if possibly the green dragons were going to be available there. Green dragons, if they were on the desert tile, would be a pretty good amount of experience in terms of the pace that you could encounter them and kill them.
It definitely looks like one of those seeds where it's really difficult to ascertain where the best grind actually is amongst all the options, because we've seen both runners now at least several times check several different options.
And with only about 100 attack power right now, both runners also should have the expectation that it could be a few more levels, and so getting the grind, quote-unquote, right is really important, because they might have to earn another 6,000 experience or something before they're going to be ready to fight the Dragon Lord.
Well, despite all of the running around and shenanigans on deciding where exactly to grind, we still have a fairly close, uh, pretty narrow lead between the two runners here. I think Bobski is at most 500 up at the current moment. Maybe just 600 now that he got his red dragon down.
And while I think it's great that Bobski has tried a number of grinds, if you try a number of grinds and none of them are great, in my experience, picking a spike tile, almost any spike tile, at that point will turn out to be the winning move, because the sheer repeatability of it, the fact that you can step off and step right back on and be guaranteed the encounter, usually means that you're going to be doing at least as well as you could do anywhere else if you were having that much trouble making up your mind.
Yeah, you'd really have to get the spike tile in a spot that was rather inconvenient or potentially deadly with the setup that the spike tile had for me to not want to choose one of those before finding the overworld spot to kind of grind, or Charlock itself.
Yeah, and with Hawksness just one screen away from Tanagel Castle, it's a very convenient location to just death warp right out of and come right back to the spike tile. So it looks like Bobski, at least for the moment, has settled on staying here. And I think as a result is going to at least keep up his experience lead that he has over Couch for the moment. Looking ahead, there is a spike tile in front of the Dragon Lord. An AK with sleep would be awful on that tile. The red dragon actually doesn't seem like it's going to be too bad, provided that you just stop spelled at the start of the fight. Anybody else that would be trouble? I guess the Axe Knight could also get lucky and put you to sleep as well.
Yeah, I would think worst case scenario is the Armor Knight being up there and sleep spelling you, and then kind of chaining a whole bunch of things together before it got to the 6th round.
Yep, I feel like the Armored Knight would be the most deadly. It's the one that the runners least want to see on that spike tile. But I guess we haven't seen anyone dive deeper into Charlock, and so while we have a very good sense now of the enemies you're going to encounter on the top floors, the middle floors and the bottom floors are still a mystery, and if the Armored Knights are down on those floors as well, this could be quite the gauntlet that they have to get through Charlock.
getting to about that level where I would think at least one or maybe even both of the runners are going to have to consider at least trying to dive down for knowledge of what's in the treasury down there. Because from my vantage point, it doesn't look like, barring a huge strength roll coming up shortly, that they're going to get the attack power needed in the next 2 levels, perhaps.
I agree that given where the hit points stand right now, it does look like the Death Necklace is going to come into play, and so the players have to have that in the back of their mind. Furthermore, if there do turn out to be armored knights on the bottom floor, you almost want to do a separate dive into the treasury just to get the Death Necklace, so that those extra steps don't end up costing you when you're doing the actual dive to go fight the Dragon Lord. Plus, it would be an opportunity to do a scouting mission into the bottom of Charlock to find out exactly what kind of level you're going to need to get there. So I would definitely consider a deep dive into Charlock. Bobski's about to come up on level 16 with just 1.5 more red dragons here, and so I could imagine if the stats give him anything, especially some more agility, that he might go ahead and do a dive to see if the Death Necklace is down there. We'll see.
Yeah, and to add to that, I mean, the enemy set that's in Charlock is fairly grindable, as we've seen Couch maybe not keep perfect pace with Bobski's spike tile decision, but it's keeping close enough pace to not put him drastically
And I
behind.
really like what Bobski did here. He could try to fight another red dragon, but he's out of magic and he only needed a few more experience to the next level up. So he just walked around trying to find another enemy here in Hawksnest. He got the information he needed. It's 28 hit points. He realizes, now looking at his stats, that he has 148. The Death Necklace is totally in play. And so, as a reminder, while in the vanilla game, the Death Necklace has no effect other than cursing the player and being able to be sold for 1,200 gold, in Randomizer, it's been given an extra capability. It can give you 10 extra attack power at the cost of 25% of your max hit points. But given that their hit points are so high now at level 16, that is definitely a good trade-off with low strength and attack power. And our tracker, Ali, is also pointing out something useful, which is Bobski now knows for sure that the Death Necklace has to be in Charlock because he's seen all the other chests in the game. Couch doesn't because he didn't get to the bottom of the grave. And I don't remember if Couch saw the Stones of Sunlight cave either, now come to think of it.
I want to say yes, that both runners have seen it. Because was it not right behind Charlock?
I was thinking that was a different cave, but maybe it was.
Because Swamp was further out.
Oh, and Ali, our tracker, points out that that's where the Stones of Sunlight actually were. And so it's definitely the case that Couch was in there. Ironic that the Stones of Sunlight were found in Stones of Sunlight Cave, and that Garen's tomb was in the back of Garenham. Is this even Rendo?
You'd be thinking about that until you saw kind of what some of the setups were amongst our mobs in the seed. Because while there might be a little bit of similarity, it's certainly not all the same.
So it's going to be 9750 to get the level up for Couch, who's just getting it now from the Wizard. He's going to see that all the hit points are coming at level 16. Bobski has to work his way to 12,000 experience to get to level 17, so that's still a little ways off, but since Red Dragons give 255, I think 6 more Red Dragons after this one will do it for Bobski.
So we're what, about a dozen to 16 points away from the dive being particularly feasible given what we think is down there. Or actually, I guess know is down there at this point.
Yeah, the real question mark is about the things that we don't know are down there. How many armored knights are there going to be in the bottom floors of Sharlock?
There's still the off chance that the playing the pyramid game may strike out completely, though, and that would be kind of a unfortunate turn of events.
Right, in addition to the 6 chests that are in the Sharlock treasury, there is a 7th chest, which is where Erdrick's sword is found in the vanilla game, that's a bit farther away, and so if the death necklace turns out to be in that far away chest, that'll slow the runners down even more.
Yep, it's very rare that we see somebody go out of their way to kind of check that chest first, so you would think most of them would dive down to the 6 that are more likely to have it, given the odds are in the favor of those.
Yeah, one of the rare cases is if you're doing a dive, trying to get down to the treasury, and you're almost out of resources by the time you get to that branching point, you might choose just to go for that other separate chest, rather than trying to dive all the way down into the treasury just because it might be a little closer.
So it started as a 300 experience lead for Couch 23 going into the grinding decision and kind of rotation that we've seen. It's now kind of climbed up to, we'll call it 800 on average between the two runners the other way. So it's been about a 11 to 1200 point swing in experience.
Yeah, it took Bobski a while to settle in on this grind, but especially as he gains levels, more attack power, and more hit points, this grind is becoming more and more attractive. He's also quite confident that the stop spells are going to land on the Red Dragon, so this has turned into a very solid grind that Bobski has, and his experience lead is only going to widen, at least up until the point to where the stats cause him to want to possibly head back into Sharlock.
And despite what I said earlier, the 2 extra attack power may actually be enormous when it comes to the
Right, on
rolls we
these
see.
borderline strength seeds where you have kind of an attack power in the 120s, that 2 extra attack power ends up being huge because during long battles against the Dragon Lord, that 2 strength means you're going to be hitting for like, I don't know, another 0.75 on each swing. And so if you end up in a 15 or 20 string swing battle against the Dragon Lord, that is a lot of extra damage points you're going to land on him. We'll see.
Alright, let's see what level 17 has. Power of 4, HP 10, a little bit of magic, and look like empty eye on agility.
That brings the runners up to 14 heal mores at level 17. With an attack power of 120 using the Death Necklace, the maximum they'd be able to swing for is 10, minimum of 5. That's still only an average of 7.5. It's still going to take too many swings to take down the Dragon Lord. I guess 20 swings would just get you up into the range of the minimum number of hit points damage you would average in order to be able to take down the Dragon Lord. And even though you might get doubles, even with the Death Necklace on, with this insanely high hit point total, 20 swings still seems pretty unreasonable. So I have to imagine we're going to be going to at least level 18, but I wonder if Bobski's considering a dive just to go ahead and get the Death Necklace now. Ironically, if it turns out to be a bit more grinding, or if the players had the foresight to try to dive earlier and get the Death Necklace, they might have actually been able to put the Death Necklace on during the grind. I'm not sure that it would make the grind against the Red Dragons go that much faster, but that's another strategy we could have imagined some people going after.
Yeah, I would. I don't know that it's particularly useful, in my opinion, against the red dragon. Against some other grind enemies, it would certainly make a lot of sense, though. Maybe Stone Man would be a little bit different, but not really.
And it's also the case that the disadvantage of using the Death Necklace for the grind is we still don't know if there's Armored Knights in the bottom of Charlock. I guess in the act of getting the Death Necklace, which has to be somewhere in the bottom of Charlock, you'd get that information. But if there are Armored Knights there, you probably would prefer to have the hit points during the dive rather than give them up now just to try to speed up the grind on the red dragons a little bit. But yeah, I was kind of talking about the math a little bit when thinking about things from Bobski's point of view. The maximum amount of damage you can hit on Dragon Lord 2 is your attack power minus 100 divided by 2. So if Bobski had the Death Necklace, his attack power would go up by 10 to 120. Subtract 100 divided by 2. That's maximum damage output of 10 on Dragon Lord 2. Dragon Lord 2 has a random number between 150 and 165 hit points. So even if he had all maximum swings, which he's certainly not going to get, he would still need 15 or 16 or possibly even 17 swings on the Dragon Lord to kill him at level 17 with the Death Necklace on. So that's basically unreasonable at this point. So we have to expect level 18 is going to be on Bobski's mind.
Yep, you're pretty much mathed out of the equation unless for whatever reason the MP was closer to 159 instead of 119, in which case the crazy amounts of MP would make it a long but potentially doable fight. And the reason I'm kind of mathing out that MP is that you'd be closer to 18, 19 heal mores by the time you got down there.
Now, both players are headed back into Charlock, but for Bobski, I have to imagine, given the experience that he's at, his plan is probably going to be to try to preserve his magic points and fight his way down through Charlock. He's potentially going to stop spell red dragons to keep fighting them. He'll probably run from the armored knights because he's got 102 agility, and so he's a favorite to be able to run. He can choose to pick his battles. He'll gain experience on the way down. 14,250 experience is going to give him level 18, and if it does come with a big strength boost, if he gets that before he gets to the treasury, he'll have options. If he gets it after he gets to the treasury, or if the strength isn't quite there, he'll still have the option of getting the Death Necklace and possibly continuing the dive to fight the Dragon Lord right now. So this is a really good way for Bobski to get more information, give himself more options, while still grinding a good amount of experience on the way down, choosing his battles.
I'm a little bit surprised that Couch on his side has not opted into killing some of the enemies that you can potentially get down with a single hurt more, given his significant HP cushion.
I don't know if Couch, since we've seen some other choices that he's made, show off the fact that he's not as experienced with Dragon Warrior Randomizer as Bobski is. I don't know if Couch thinks possibly that he has a chance to win, or if he's simply trying to go get the Death Necklace right now. I guess we'll see as it develops. And Allie points out the fact that Couch is also still missing the fighter's rings. That's another reason he might want to dive. He has 2 potentially good items that he thinks could be down here. But in the chat, lots of people are placing their guesses for the location of the Death Necklace, which one of these 3 chests, or 3 chests, 6 chests is going to have it, or the 7th one that's somewhere else. We'll find out shortly, so put your guesses in the chat. We can see who guesses correctly. And the Death Necklace is found in the bottom left chest. And Couch walks out immediately.
So it's either he is looking to see what's on the tile, or he thinks he may have an outside chance, or is considering the opportunity given the giant MP pool that a Hurtmore or even two Hurtmores may put him in that area where he can actually hit his way through the rest of the way. I'm not sure if that's necessarily the best math play, but if he's thinking he might be behind, it may be kind of one of those all or nothing. I can pretty much walk my way back to the nearest town if I get whacked on the DL2 fight and don't get through with the Hurtmores.
It's an Axe Knight on the spike tile. While the Axe Knight does have the sleep spell, Couch immediately does a stop spell on him, so he's going to be able to fight through this Axe Knight. And so it looks like here, an hour and 50 minutes in, we might have our first Dragon Lord 2 battle on the screen over on Couch's side. Meanwhile, Bobski is going to be just hair away from the next level up after finishing off this golem. I have to imagine that Couch here has, well, it's hard to work out. That's with these crazy hit points and magic points. Like, my gut instinct doesn't have it. I haven't tried to do the math, but I have to imagine like less than 10% chance of winning against the Dragon Lord. You'd need a lot of doubles and high rolls.
I am almost certain that you would need to actually Hurtmore him to really have a legitimate chance of getting there on the MP
If he
has.
bites
but
a
I could be wrong too.
lot, if he bites a lot, there is a chance to get a number of doubles. It's going to be a super long combat, and the fact that Couch doesn't have the fighter's ring, if he does end up getting a count that ends up being close, like that could end up being the difference. But again, I think, like you do, that it's just on the stretches of imagination to hope that it's going to turn out that way.
Does the DL2 always ambush or something was the question, and the answer is kind of, but not really. It's more or less a chance, and he has a significant agility roll, so he's going to most of the time, or at least a good chunk of the time, be able to get you a back attack.
But meanwhile, over on Bobski's side, he just got level 19. It came up with 6 more strength. So his attack power is already 116. When he picks up the Death Necklace in a moment, that's going to bring things up to 126. And now Bobski really would have a shot, although with only 97 magic points. At 13 maximum damage against the Dragon Lord.
Yeah, my math at his current resources says no by just a little bit. If he had another 2 heal mores, I'd say yes.
Yeah, so my hunch is he's at least going to go over to walk to the spike tile because he probably wants to know if it's an AK, even if he doesn't think he can win this battle. And then it's been a really tough race. I could also imagine definitely Bobski going for the YOLO Hurtmore, possibly even early during the Dragon Lord 2 fight, because if he's already down here to get the information about the spike tile, might as well take a wild shot at the Dragon Lord while you're down here too.
We did see a double for Couch on that specific roll, so Dragon Lord is buying at least enough times for him to get the first one. However, he is pretty low on MP at this point, and I don't think he's particularly close yet, so we'll see if he decides.
And the Axe Knight puts Bobski to sleep. Oh, but he wakes back up quickly. But it puts him to sleep again. He's just hitting through. He wants to give himself the best chance, even though he probably knows that it's only a faint chance that he's going to have against the Dragon Lord. So he wanted to preserve all of his magic points here fighting the Axe Knight. He is going to be able to win that battle. And interesting. Bobski has decided that the Axe Knight is a grind and he wants level 19. Wow, I didn't see that coming, but it's actually a pretty reasonable play. I wonder if Bobski, yeah, he's just put on the death necklace and he's heading to the Dragon Lord. I wonder if he just remembered all the hit points that he has and realized that there's doubles and that he has a shot. And also if he had all of his magic points coming all down to the bottom, that level 18 gives him a shot. I had not refactored in the new amount of hit points that he has. And so now he's a favorite to get a number of doubles against Dragon Lord too.
Unfortunately, as is being pointed out in chat, he did also hurt more during that sequence, so it takes him down to 92 MP. So I just don't think that he's
I
really going to have a
honestly,
chance to get all the way there.
yeah, I think we're gonna see a hurt more from Bobski against the Dragon Lord. That's what I thought when he was first walking toward the spike tile, and now that's what I think again is, well, or a blue dragon is going to give him the death warp. He's cursed. There's a town nearby, so we'll go refill on resources, and he's gonna have to make his way back down through Sharlock, but if he preserves his magic points this time, he should have a good shot.
Not that the blue dragon is particularly painful, but I think that was the first one that I saw. I mean, I've been paying close enough attention on the bottom of Sharlock.
Yeah, and I don't think we saw any armored knights. So that's one hugely good thing for being able to redive it quickly. But
Definitely
yeah,
saw
I have to
reds.
wonder if Bobski is kicking himself. Yeah, this will be an interesting question to ask after the race. Basically, all the thoughts that were going through Bobski's head during the end of that dive.
So, looks like Coach 23 is going to make the redive. Let's see if he changes his endgame strategy here on this attempt, because he saw how much damage he did on the last dive down. Probably has a good idea of how close he was. And to me, I think it was at least a good 35 to 40 away. From my math, it looked to be in the like 120s, low 120s range.
Meanwhile, Bobski is still taking fights, and so I have to imagine he's thinking, level 16 is only another 1500 experience away. I can be very picky about the fights that I take during this dive and get another level pretty easily. Let's see. With where he's at right now, if his max damage is 13, his minimum damage would be 6. That's going to be an average somewhere around 9. So he would need, I guess, about 17 or 18 hits on the Dragon Lord, and he's got 15 potential heal mores. And he should get doubles. He doesn't really need the level. Yeah, and he does have 109 agility. I think, honestly, the right thing to do is just to run from everybody and go down and fight at level 18.
Yeah, my math says 9 damage average would be 18 swings to get you in around the 160 something mark, low 160s.
And so if he gets down there with all his magic points, he should expect at least 16 swings against the Dragon Lord with this magic. Probably 17, so we would only need one double, and with 120 hit points and 94 defense power, that's almost certain. I think he could win on level 18 and still have 2 heal mores left if he makes it down there with all his resources. And even if he had to spend some more resources on the way down, he'd probably be okay. But if he ends up getting level 19, it's just going to give him that much more cushion. Meanwhile, Couch is still swinging for the fences. Gonna see if somehow, miraculously, he can win at level 17 here.
Yeah, I'll give it the precision math on this one just to see exactly where he's at.
Couch, he does have a shot. It's not a good shot, but there's definitely a shot there, and it really comes down to how many doubles he can get on Dragonlord. Meanwhile, I feel like Bobski potentially feels like he's behind because he had kind of a moment of indecision at the bottom of this. Well, I'm not sure. It's hard for me to get in Bobski's head. I've seen him play a lot of races, but as I've talked about before, he's an imaginative player. He doesn't always play the same strategies that other people will. It'll be fun to interview him after this race. But here is round 2 of Couch versus the Dragonlord. Let's see what happens. I'm going to try to count this one out. He starts with a 6. Follows with a 5 to be up to 11. $19. 23 with a min roll of 4. This is where the fighter's ring would be huge. If Couch had the fighter's ring, he would have a really decent shot at this, I think. Without it, oh boy. And I just lost track of the count, sadly, as I said that. That said, it should be the case that his maximum roll is 9, and I don't think I've seen a 9. I've only seen maybe 1 8, so his rolls have not been high rolls. There's an 8 again, finally. But things are not looking good for Couch. He really needed a lot of things for the stars to align in order to possibly be able to get the Dragonlord here. And unless he rolls a lot of 9s moving ahead and also gets some double attacks where he can attack twice before having to heal more again, I don't think he has a shot.
At this point, he's about halfway in terms of damage, and he's more than halfway through his MP, so it's...
And on Bobski's side, he doesn't need to take any more battles. The Axe Knight who's on the spike tile is going to give him enough experience to get to level 19. Bobski still has 14 Healmores in the bottle, and he could actually... No, he can't afford to hurt more of the Axe Knight if he wants to keep all 14 of those. Oh, so he's going to stop spell the Axe Knight, which is actually a good play, except for the stop spell doesn't work. So he's going to have to take a swing and risk being put to sleep, which sure enough happens again. But that was smart play to preserve the magic for the Healmores, while also give him the option of stop spelling the Axe Knight. He defeats the Axe Knight without too much trouble. We're going to see what level 19 gives for Bobski. 15 power. Okay, Bobski is a mortal lock to defeat the Dragonlord. So, looking over on Couch's side, couldn't quite do it. It sounds like he came up way short. It was a long shot, but it definitely made it exciting to have them both at the Dragonlord at the same time. But now, get ready for Bobski to lay some smackdown on the Dragonlord.
Yeah, my math says it was roughly 115 that time, a little bit less than he had because of just a little bit less on his damage rolls.
Alright, yeah, so Couch came up pretty short. But now let's take a look at what Bobski is going to do to this guy. 15 attack power is huge. Two attacks in and he's already dealt 31. 41 damage against the Dragonlord before he has to do his first heal. I think Bobski has dealt 68 damage now. Doesn't matter if he gets all 10s from here on out. He'll have plenty of damage to take this guy down. And so in this race, it was kind of a weird back and forth with very difficult enemies throughout. Bobski was behind on experience for a long time despite an early equipment advantage, then managed to finally settle into a grind which allowed him to get ahead on experience, and then was really trying to do the math to figure out when was going to be the right time to go after the Dragon Lord, whereas Couch was flying a little bit more by the seat of his pants and swinging for the fences. Didn't quite work out for him, and meanwhile Bobski got rewarded for doing that final dive to make him a lock against the Dragon Lord. A couple more swings and he should have the victory here.
And there it is.
Get your GGs out in chat for Bobski. This was quite a seed with some incredibly powerful enemies almost right from the start. But with around 2 hours and 6 minutes, we're finally going to have a victor here in this second round of the Dragon Warrior Randomizer tournament.
All right, looks like our official time for Bobski is 2:05:32, and within seconds, the dot forfeit did come in from Couch23. He's had enough of this seed, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, I don't blame him either. When you have 4 enemies with bad abilities that are Sharlock tier enemies that you're encountering on the overworld or some of the important dungeons right from the start, that makes for a very unpleasant seed. But yeah, congrats to our runners for really toughing it out through a very challenging one. And perhaps we'll be able to, get them to talk to for an interview.
Yep, they both had to step away for just a moment, but it seems like both will be coming in here in a couple minutes. But yeah, I think the most interesting thing that I saw in this was the kind of decision or kind of indecision, if you will, as to what exactly they wanted to grind to kind of get their levels going after they got all the required items to get into Sharlock.
Yeah, definitely choice of grind was a challenging one. And yeah, it really also goes to show that when you can't find the mid-game grind even, that equipment necessarily isn't all that important, because Bobski, again, had a really big equipment advantage near the start, and it just couldn't turn into anything for him because even with the flame sword and magic armor, he was not going to be able to take down the axe, the armored knights, and the red dragons that he kept running into on the overworld.
It doesn't necessarily suggest that the gold grind is a risky strat, but it does kind of show that with the wrong enemy set on the overworld and the lack of any specific zone lining up for you, it may not always pay off in the best ways.
Yeah, that's a good assessment of things. And it looks like we are already joined by Couch. Couch, this was a tough seed. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's about it. Just, I really don't have too much to say about it.
I don't remember the last time that we had a seed where there were 4 Sharlock tier enemies, all of which had abilities that basically made them unkillable for like the first half to moving towards 2/3 of the seed.
Yeah, definitely. It was quite unfun at the beginning.
And we're also joined by Bobski. Bobski, congratulations for winning here, moving forward into the tournament. But yeah, what are your overall thoughts on this? I think your mic is still muted, Bobski.
Sorry, I had myself hard muted at the mic. I think Couch summed it up very well in the SRL room by saying, heck, that was just painful.
So one of the things Fury was talking about was the choice of grind once you finally kind of got all the items together for the rainbow drop. Bobski, it looks like you tried a number of different strategies. Do you want to talk through it? We were wondering what was going through.
Yeah, so I think the first grind that I wanted to do, I wanted to beat that red dragon as soon as we got stop spell. I actually wanted to beat the red dragon before that and just like hope and pray for 2 excellent moves, because I was really hoping for Erdrick's armor, because I felt behind just at the start. I felt like I kept running into random enemies and where Erdrick's. But when I got around to grinding itself, I hit repel, and I had seen green dragons in one zone, and I think every other enemy was repellable at that point. So I ground, I want to say that was level 15 or 16, and maybe both of them on the green dragon that I could find. And then at some point, I walked about 30 steps and didn't get an encounter, so I figured I probably broke them. And then I moved on to the red dragon. I did a few golems when I saw them, and just kind of did whatever I could.
Definitely seemed like both you and Couch23 kind of looked at all the options and tried to weigh each one. And so we kind of saw you both circle around through all the options, as you had potentially Swamp Tile, you had Hawk's Nest, or you had Charlock, and for a little while at least the Green Dragon, as you might have noted already.
Right, and I think Couch even also tried Garen's Tomb also, because there was a golem down there and one other kind of killable enemy, but then the Armored Knights were also down there as well, so that made that pretty unattractive as a zone.
Yeah, that was something. I just kept hoping to see that next level with double-digit strength, and all I saw was 1 and 1 and 1, and then I think it skipped him. And so, we getting to 18 and saying, well, we could try it. I thought about hurt mooring that first time I was in Charlock, to be honest.
I really thought you were going to do that. I thought when you got down there and you still had 90-something magic, you were going to say, you know what, let's just go with an opening hurt moor just to see if we can land it.
I was sitting there and doing the math, and I thought about it, and I said to myself, if I lose by like 2 minutes, especially after messing up that count and being two away diagonally on like my first search, I just, again, I kind of felt like Couch could be, ahead, could be breathing down my neck, could be any number of different places on the seed. And so, respecting my opponent and saying, I'm not going to waste the time to potentially hit 1 hurt more and then still come up short if I have to spend too much magic to do it. It just didn't seem worth it.
Looked like for a moment at least that Couch23 might have been lining up for that strategy as well, because he dove a little bit ahead of you in terms of level gets. He was level 17 when he made the attempt, and he was within range, I think, at like his last 2 heal moors. So given the Dragon Lord 2 was actually 151 HP, it would have worked out if he had gotten that hurt moor to land.
So that, I wouldn't have even been mad losing that way. That would have been really cool to see. I've seen a couple hurt moors land in my almost a year of playing this randomizer, and it's always interesting to see that get pulled. I was also very worried that the Death Necklace was going to be at the bottom of Mountain Cave that I didn't get to see.
Oh, I had lost track of that you had died in the mountain cave and didn't get to see the final chest in there. We were all, since Couch had actually gone into that cave before you, he'd gotten the token out first, and so we knew that was the important thing that was there, and I lost track of the fact that after you got the token, you didn't manage to make it to the final chest.
Yeah, I was in there twice, and I died on the second floor, like a step away from a chest the first time, next to the top 2 chests, and then the next time I ran from an AK after it put me to sleep, and then got a second one that slept and wrecked me. So I was, I think, a step or 2 away from the last chest the second time, and I just didn't go back there because the odds were it was in Charlock. So it paid off, but man, that was a show. I hope everyone enjoyed it over in chat, and thank you very much for the restream, everybody. I know it's a lot of hard work, so I want to shout out CD Improv, Alliger Brap, Lorgan, and Fury for making this happen for us. It's a huge volunteer commitment. especially when things go for 2 hours.
No problems at all. I think the one thing you'll be interested to kind of note is the start that you two chose to do. It was one of those interesting scenarios based on the overworld setup where neither gold grinding nor just outright going through and trying to gain levels actually paid off uh, any significant way for either one of you, but you both kind of chose different options, and it was quite interesting to see how that kind of came together.
Yeah, it'll be something to watch it back. I'll probably watch it on double speed.
Yeah, I always enjoy watching the races back on double speed, just to get a sense of how it plays out after I've run a race. And yeah, there's usually things to learn. I don't know. Any parting thoughts, Couch?
Oh, nothing really. Just thank you for the admin team behind, the commentators, restreamer, GG Bobski, well earned win. Good luck in the next round.
Good luck to you too, as well, Couch. I think this race could have gone either way. It sounds like you might have even had a shot at that Dragon Lord, and that would have been a heck of a way to go to 2-0. But definitely lots of Dragon Warrior left to play. I think there are 2 more races today. Have you recapped the schedule?
I was just about to do that. So yeah, the next race is going to be at 6 p.m. It's going to be on Randomania, and that's actually the final week 1 that wasn't able to be scheduled last week between Tristal and Wijiwi. And then tonight, I think it was supposed to be at 9 p.m., but there was some question about whether they needed to move the time to accommodate someone. Was Centroid versus, I forgot again.
Smashy.
Versus Smashy. So some experienced runners from, I think both of them were in the previous last year's tournament. So yeah, look forward to that. And yeah, there's going to be lots more races throughout the week, so just stay tuned. If you enjoy watching Dragon Warrior Randomizer, there's a lot of great stuff coming up.
Yep. So it looks like we have Randomizer 1, just to recap, for the last race of week 1. And I want to say it's moved to 11 Eastern on Randomania 2, but just keep an eye on that schedule because that'll be up to date just in case it gets changed.
All right, but thanks again to our runners for putting on an awesome show for us, and good luck to you moving forward in the tournament.